Hi folks, we've got this little Renault Clio here, and common problem on these is the sunroof is leaking into the car and also into the footwell. So we're going to try and cure that today. We're going to take this unit out and we're going to try and reseal it up. There's a few ways people have been doing it online. We'll take it by one step at a time and see the best way to get over the problem. See you in a minute. Right, okay then, one of the common problems with these cars, especially when they get a bit old, is the sunroof starts to leak. So let's just show you what they suffer from. Right, now if we look up here, obviously you can see the, if I get near enough for you, you can see the staining there on the inside of the front pillar there. And what normally happens is that you've got some drainage channels in the roof that run down here and into the actual footwell. There's pipes in there which can actually get blocked up as well, so the water can collect up in the actual channels up here, which we'll see when we take the sunroof off. Also what can happen is that the seal can go that sits underneath the roof, which is basically a joint here, and if I just push the sunroof up there, you can see that there's a little gap appeared there, and that gap is possible signs of water coming in when it rains. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the glass out first, and to do that, if we come inside to the switch, you can probably see just inside there is a little red tab. There it is there, and if we push that in, that'll release it from this bar, and we can actually lift the front of the sunroof up. Okay, so I'm just going to push in that little red thing there, as you can probably see, and then lift. There's that little red clip, push back in, there we go. So make sure you push that red clip right the way in, so that bar can come down. As you can see, that little red clip there, look. I'll just push it in. Just hold a screwdriver at the bottom of it and just hold it in, then you'll be able to lift that up. If we pull the roof right up in the air now, that these brackets should just curl around, and I think you might be right. So do you want to grab the other half, Garage? Well, it's red up that. Look at that, there you go. So yeah, we didn't even have to take them brackets off. So they can stay on them brackets. I'll take the glass out of the way. Right, so what we want to do now is to pull off this trim here. As you can see, it comes off pretty easily. Just bring it all off in one piece. Don't forget that the joining bit is at the back here, so that's under the bracket, so keep that like that if you can. Right, so that's the external trim off, and if I bring this inner roof down, you can now see the bolts that go all the way around, and I think you'll find there's 16 of them in total. So we're going to zip round now and just undo all these, and then we'll get back to you when we've done them. Right, little top tip, when you're doing the front ones all along the front and around the back, they're easy enough to get to with a little quarter drive socket with no extensions on or nothing. Just ease it down, put it on the bolt, and if you just let the sealing lining go back up, it actually holds the bolt in place and stops your socket from sliding off. So you're okay at doing the front and the back with this, but when it comes to doing the ones at the side, you're going to probably need a spanner, or better still, a ratchet spanner. They're 10mm, all these bolts are 10mm, so get yourself a ratchet spanner as well as a single socket, because you probably won't be able to get onto the socket very well. So that's a little top tip there if you're doing this job. And as you can see, the bolts have actually got little leading edges on them, so when you come to put them back in, they should find their way back in pretty easily. As you can see, that's the tool you want for getting into them ones. One of those ratchet spanners, they work a treat. Right, okay, we've undone all the screws now. We're just going to lift up and pull away from where the old seal was. You see in places it will be a bit stuck. That's to be expected. So as we've freed that off now, but before we go any further, we just want to make sure that our drainage channels are clear and running. So what we're going to do, We're going to fill these 2 channels up with water, and we're going to see if it runs away. If it overflows, then that's obviously our problem. So we're just going to fill these up with water now. Right, as I say, it's best to do this before you actually take the roof seal out, because you may disconnect the pipes and you don't want that. So let's just put some water in there. Can you see it running down there? Right, stay there. So we're going to just tip some more in there like that. And as you can see down there, just running down on the floor there, we can see that the water's running out fine. So we know that one's not blocked that side. We'll do the same to the other side.
Come in.
It's running out, lovely. And Jimmy's down at the front wheel on the other side, and he's saying it's coming out there, Jimmy, yeah? Right, so we know that we haven't got any blocked lines. So we can be pretty assured that our problem is due to the leaking seal all the way around. So we can now lift this out, get this right away, pull them tubes off, as we can just see there, get that out of the way. And this is our sealing edge here, which has obviously been letting in water. And as you can probably see, this is the rubber seal there, all the way around, and it's well compressed. And the chances are this has been our problem, which in turn would have let water run inside this area here, which would have made our lining wet. And as you can see probably there, we have got staining on the inside of the lining there. So that's obviously where our problem lies. So we've got to clean all this up now, make sure it's really, really nice and clean. We've got to do the same to the frame. And we haven't got the proper seal to go on this, so what we're going to do, we're going to use some draft excluder and try that out and see how that goes first of all. And we'll show you that when we come to do that. So we're going to clean this up now, and we'll see you again in a minute when it's ready to go back on. So one thing to note, when you come to scrape this off, just note the location of the rubber seal, because when we put our new one on, that's the same place it wants to go in. So if I just show you, as you can probably see, this is where the rubber seal sits, and it's only a thin strip. And I'm taking it off with just going along with a screwdriver like that, and it goes right on this inner edge here. So whatever seal we put back in, we want to put back a seal that's going to go on that line. This one's well flattened off, as you can probably see there. It's only very, very thin there, and it is like a mastic at the end of the day. So a lot of people put silicone sealant along there. The only trouble I find with putting silicone sealant on there is that if you want to remove your roof at a later stage for any reason, this is going to be stuck fast to your roof, and you'll probably have to get a tool in there like a blade to have to cut through that. You could damage your roof, you could damage this, so that's the reason why I haven't chosen silicone sealant. Right, so we've scraped everything off now, and let's just show you what we've got on this one. You may or may not have the same issue as we've got, but it looks like someone's been here before. If you look at the front edge here, we've got 2 little sort of ridges on the underside there, where obviously a gasket may sit, a proper gasket, but when you come around to the sides, it looks like someone's actually filed down the gaskets all the way around, right around to the front edge. And as you can probably see there, the front edge is actually smooth here. So we haven't got the proper gasket, and what we're going to do is to put another multi-use type gasket seal on here, and hopefully that will do the job. We don't really want to go around and do what other people have done and put silicone, because if it comes to the stage where you need to take this out at a future time, if you've got this stuck to your roof with silicone, this only being a plastic part, you're never going to prise that off in one piece, and you may even damage your roof and your paintwork as well. So that's the reason why we're not putting silicone. So we're going to go for this mastic strip, and I'll show you that in a second. So I'll see you in a minute. Right, so we've got this double-sided mastic tape here. As you can probably see, it's only thin. This is pretty similar to what was already on there, but we're going to go around now and just put all this on, and we'll come back to you when we've done that. Right, okay, here's our strip, our weather strip on. I've left the other adhesive cover on here until we actually plug things on, and then we'll pull that off when we're ready. So let's get this into place. Right, it's probably best if you've got a couple of people here, as I say, because it is quite tricky to get them hoses on. And you don't want to be pulling them hoses to try and get a bit more slack on them, because you might pull a joint further out, down, and actually disconnect the pipe further down, and that's one thing you don't want. So just have 2 people and 1 person trying to feed the hose on, and it should make life a lot easier. Here, that one's on. Right, okay, so both hoses are on. Now we don't really want to disturb that frame, but we're going to try and pull off the backing strip now. You got it there, Jimmy? And just gently ease it around before we actually stick the roof down, as you can see, like what Jimmy's doing. Now, as I say, you may or may not have this on an original gasket, we're not too sure, but this is the stuff that we're using.
3M.
Which is a good 3M sealer. And once we've done that, we're just going to drop this into place now. Make sure it seats all the way around first. The back's not in, Jimmy, for some reason. Is it that frame? Oh, that's it, right. And then, as I say, once we drop it into place...
Just make sure your hose is on, Jimmy.
Is the hose on? Just double check your hoses. Make sure that your hoses are on. Both on, Jimmy?
Yeah.
And then systematically go back on, put all your screws in, and that should be job done. Right, so that's everything bolted down. It seems to pull down all right. So that one that we had damaged is actually held in place. So we're just going to put this internal trim back on before we put the glass in. Right, okay then, so roof's back on, and what we're going to do is just tip some water over it now, and we're going to see whether or not we've still got a leak. So go on then, whack it over. You keep an eye out in there. We've got Gary in the car and the back. How's that? Right, what you will see is you'll see water sitting in your channel here where your sunroof is, but that's the water that goes into your little like reservoirs in there, which connects up to the duct. So it's not unusual to hear water running down the actual pillars, because that's what it's actually supposed to do. What we don't want is water to seep through the actual joint here and into the roof lining. So that's what we're looking for. So hopefully we've cured the job. So little few things to watch there with this job. One, that make sure that you don't over tighten them little ferrule screws, because they only go into a plastic mount. And if you do decide to use silicone to stick this down rather than put a gasket down, you do risk in the future, if you need to take it out, damaging not only your paintwork but also probably breaking this. This is only a plastic frame there, and that could cost you quite a few bob to actually get one of them replaced. So I hope this video has been of interest to you, and we'll see you again in the next video, and until then, bye for now.